And we are back. What is going on, beautiful people? Welcome back to the Subs and Dubs podcast, episode 3. And as you guys can see, very special episode for me. We got everybody's favorite uncle as my special co-host today, Uncle Weezy. Uncle Weezy created the Uncle Weezy YouTube channel, and we'll talk about that more later. Hosted Just a Tip Show, co-hosted a Stat Diggers pod on YouTube. I'm sure you guys are all familiar with that. Part of the amazing Pub Sports Radio fam over there. Um, I've been a big fan of this man's work for a long time. We've talked behind the scenes, and um, I love having guests on that I'm just a fan of. Period. So I've consumed his content, his and Brady's content for a long time. So I'm super excited to have him on the show tonight. Weezy, thank you for taking the time out. How you doing? How was the trip? How has gambling been to you last couple of weeks? Overall, how you doing?
Things are good, man. Us content creators came off a 17-week straight stretch of UFC action. So it got hairy there for a while, man. That's a long time to go without having a week off. And so I really needed a little bit of a vacation. Went to Greece basically the Tuesday morning of the last fight week. So once I got to Greece, found out that I couldn't gamble there at all. I thought I was going to be able to gamble on Bet Online because it's an offshore book, but they have it blocked. They don't let the Greeks gamble, which is they're gonna have a riot on their hands soon. The
Like,
Greeks,
yeah, like what the fuck? What are we doing?
yeah,
What are we
yeah.
doing?
You tell a Greek that they can't gamble, they're gonna put their foot up your ass. So I
Come
mean,
on.
I can't believe that they haven't torn up the islands yet. But either way, couldn't gamble, so I had to just kind of stick with the bets that I had, and one of them was just Cody Brundage, Malkoon under 1.5 rounds at
Oh my
plus
god.
210. So I got lucky. I walked away. That was one of two bets. The other one was a finish only prop on Ige, which just pushed. So
Yeah.
yeah, wound up a couple of units on the last card on a 3 event unit winning streak here. All 2 unit wins. So hit my last 2 greasy 4-leg parlays, on fire with the ass shaving of the week. So yeah, I'm hot right now, and I'm really hoping that it continues here on this Dawson versus Green card. Very interesting card, 11 fights, a lot of juiced lines, but that doesn't mean we can't dig a little bit deeper and find some value when we find some of these props that might be mispriced.
Hell yeah, I love it. I love it, my brother. Yeah, coming off a week off, us gambling, like you said, 17 straight weeks. And damn, it feels good to have a week off. And then the week comes and it's like, damn, I wish we had UFC this Saturday. So feels like a century since we've capped fights. But yeah, like you said, I think there's a good card to come back to. Not the most, eye popping card in terms of name value, but I think an extremely good betting card. And we're gonna break it down for the people. So just the chat real quick. My man Lou Bet you in the chat, appreciate you. We got his attention. Let's go, Wheezy. Big Dad Lean, let's go. Let's go UFC, baby. Yeah, I'm excited as fuck too. Like I said, it feels like forever. Finesse the books, Wheezy, yes sir. We had to get the people, an amazing guest. So hopefully we did that for you guys. YBB in the chat. Shout out my man YBB. Finesse and Unc. Everybody favorite uncle. Everybody favorite uncle in the chat. So before we get started, let's just shout out the sponsors of the show. Wouldn't be possible without them. Sleeper Picks. You guys all know about Sleeper Picks. One of the best DFS platforms you can possibly have. Use code GoldBoys, get a nice little deposit bonus, and place your wagers. Right, you're in a non-legal state. You're not in your home state. Sleeper app has you covered. In a majority of places you go, and then Pick It. We're gonna reference Pick It all throughout the show. Have to get the best lines. You have to shop for the best lines. A major part of being successful long term, being profitable long term. Why pay minus 150? You could pay minus 110. It's that simple. So, shout out to Pick It Sports. Shout out to Sleeper helping make this possible. So, Weezy, I don't know if you ready, but I'm fucking ready. Let's break down some fights. Let's get it going.
Absolutely, man. I'm ready. I have been
Let's
ready
go.
all week, man. We
Let's
week
fucking
off,
go.
time to get back to it. We got to make some money.
Let's do it. Damn, I came in a troll, but this shit started so good. Watching for the vibes. Now let's get it, bro. That's the goal. So that's the goal. You can troll too. You're more than welcome to troll. We love that here. But yeah, so let's start off the card. So uh first fight of the night is a fight that I have action in. Montana De La Rosa versus JJ Aldrich. Current best line for Montana is minus 143 on Bet Rivers. The comeback on JJ best price is plus 135. Montana De La Rosa 12-8-1 as a pro. JJ Aldrich 12-6 as a pro. So easy. I mean, I wouldn't be a gracious host if I don't let you go first. Do you like anything in this fight? Obviously, starting with some volatile WMMA, but pretty good matchup, right? You liking anything in this first fight of the night?
Yeah, so Aldrich taking this fight on a couple of weeks' notice here. This was supposed to be Montana De La Rosa welcoming Stephanie Egger, who's a 135 pounder, to the flyweight division. So that's something I always look at, right? So you got this short notice replacement coming in, and that is always looked at as an advantage for the fighter who had already been training. But who was she training for? She was training for an ADCC grappler, a judo black belt. And now here you go against JJ Aldrich, somebody that's not going to use her wrestling offensively in this particular fight. She's going to use her wrestling in reverse in order to keep the fight standing so that she can box, which is usually where she does her best work. I think this is going to be a sloppy fight. I think it's going to be a very close fight. So when earlier in the week I could have gotten Montana De La Rosa at plus 110, I would have been on that. I think that whoever you get here at plus money is probably the side. I think this is going to be a dirty fight. And when you look at JJ Aldrich, look at when she's had her best fights. It's when she's using her wrestling in reverse to keep fights standing. She's very good at doing that. When she's the one that has to wrestle because she's being outstruck on the feet, that's when we see her look lost, like we did in the Ariane Lipsky fight. So I hate the change in opponent for Montana De La Rosa. It's a completely different opponent. Now you got a southpaw. Now you got a striker instead of a grappler. So that's going to be difficult for her. The line has kind of gotten a little bit blown out with De La Rosa sitting around minus 150 on a lot of books right now. So the pick is actually JJ Aldrich to win by decision here, but I don't have any action. But all this money keeps coming in on Montana. If I can get like plus 175 on Aldrich by a greasy decision, I don't think it's the worst look.
Yeah, and I can't argue with that. I've heard that take a lot this week. Kind of follow the plus money, like you said, greasy, volatile WMMA, and I can't hit on that take at all. I have a little bit of a different opinion on this fight. I think it's going to go a little bit differently. I'm on Montana De La Rosa. I got her at minus 130. Obviously, Weezy brought it up. Kind of missed the best of the line. But I still like it there, and for the reasons of how I think this fight is gonna go. On the Montana side, obviously very average everywhere, right? She's not gonna blow your socks off with any one thing. Pretty good offensive wrestler, right? That's what she wants to do. She wants to get fights to the ground, beat girls up. But I think she has relatively decent striking. Okay straight punches. Clinch work is okay, right? She'll throw some knees, throw some elbows in the clinch. Not the highest volume, not super fast, not crazy technical, just very average everywhere. But I still think, she's going to be better almost everywhere than JJ. Montana's just 3-4-1 in the UFC, back to back losses. But faced a murderer's row as of late. Faced, what I think are some of her toughest matchups. Right, physical girls that can strike. Um, girls like Miranda
My
Maverick,
Bueno
right?
Silva.
Yeah, Myra Brenna Silva,
Yeah.
Tatiana Suarez is like her fucking anti, right? Her anti opponent. That's like the worst possible situation for her because Suarez is just on a different level grappling than anybody else in the division. So Ariana Lipsky, right, who's a common opponent between these two ladies. So um, obviously, it's really good stuff I like on the Montana side too. Obviously, her subs, right? We talk about her one offensive wrestle and top positions. She's very active, right? Very, super nasty from top. Some women just like kind of laying there and position over damage. Super good heart, right? Crazy durable. Only been finished once in the UFC, but by Tatiana Suarez, which you just talked about.
Yeah.
So no skin off her back there. Stronger than JJ, faster than JJ, and I agree, right? JJ's best, um, I guess best attribute in terms of the wrestling department would be her defensive wrestling. I agree with that, but I think the size and the physicality, I think for the first time in a minute, Montana will have the edge there, right? She won't be out physical, she won't be outsized, stuff like that. So I think that'll, even with the short notice, like you said, coming a week or two short notice, I think this is a really good matchup for Montana. Just fading JJ. I mean, maybe we're getting such a good number, especially those that got the plus money because of the way the Na Liang fight went. Na Liang, turned her into a fucking finisher, right? Who would have fucking thought that? I know that's Brady's girl, so I don't want to talk too much shit. I don't want to talk too much shit. But yeah, she made JJ look like a fucking world beater. But even Nali Yang took her down like 3 or 4 times pretty easily too, and wasn't much resistance. So um, I think De La Rosa's, like I said, been losing fights because of physicality and just kind of being one step behind her opponents that are just kind of on another level. And I don't think we get that here. So obviously, I think Montana by sub is in play because I think she's going to be in dominant positions, work the offensive wrestling. But in what can be a super volatile women's MMA fight, I'll just take the money line and hopefully win convincingly. But yeah, I think there's many ways we can cash this. I think she could finish, rounds 2 and rounds 3, or I think she can win a decision. Hopefully, it's not greasy like my man Weezy said. So yeah, I think it's a really good spot for Montana. Hopefully, she finishes and more than covers this price tag. So but yeah, let's move on. Let's move on. A bunch of fights to get through. So next fight, I don't have any action on. Next fight is a Richie Lang versus Johnny Munoz. Richie Lang, best price you can get using the Picket Sports app is -105, and Johnny Munoz on the comeback -115. Weezy, I thought this fight was very intriguing. I taped this fight a couple times. I really wanted to fade a Richie Lang. Johnny Munoz, in my opinion, is not the guy you want to do it with. I want to fade a Richie Lang with, a technical striker, with good cardio, people like that. And Johnny Munoz is just not that guy. So I actually do lean a Richie Lang in this fight. I think the hands can kind of separate him, and his get up game can kind of carry him through as long as this fight lasts. But no official action. So I kick it to you, Weezy. You liking anything in this second fight of the night?
Now, what I'm liking for this one is staying on the sidelines and not gambling on it. Every time when I was taping this fight, I kind of thought to myself, I could see fighter A or fighter B winning this way. Something immediately would come into my head that would say, "Oh, but yeah, fighter B also could do this." Neither one of these guys has a signature win yet in the UFC. We don't really know what the upside of either one of these guys are. They're both 30 years old. They're both okay, 2 and 3 in the UFC. If you add up the combined UFC records of the guys that these guys have beaten, and that's 4 guys. Chalang's beaten Perrin and Else, and Johnny Munoz has beaten Shalinian and Jamie Simmons. Add up those 4 clowns' records, you got 0 wins and 9 losses. So I mean, what are you supposed to do here? Quilang could absolutely knock out Munoz. Munoz could absolutely sub Quilang. This could wind up being a greasy cage battle like the Manus Munoz fight was. Munoz is going to sell out for the grappling and that he could potentially get a submission here. And that if he's not successful with that particular game plan, you could see Quilang getting a knockout. But yeah, I don't see any reason to have any money on this one. I don't have any money on it. I could see it going over. I could see it going under. I could see either guy getting a win. And then what big surprise, right? -105, -115 on the money line. So the market agrees too. So I think this is going to be a fun fight. So it'll be even more fun when you don't have any money on it and you don't have to give a shit who wins.
Yeah, 100% agree. Popcorn fight. Like you said, I think it can go a variety of different ways. Over under, either guy winning. So I 100% agree. I think the closest line fight on the card, maybe despite Hernandez and Algio, but yeah, and that's exactly how I view the coin flip type of fight. So yeah, 100% agree. Next fight we have is Vanessa Demopoulos versus Kanako Murata. So best line you can get, obviously super juiced WMMA fight. Best line you can get on Murata is -329 using the Picket Sports app. Best comeback on Demopoulos is +280. Vanessa Demopoulos 9-5 in her pro career, and Kanato Murata 12-2 in her pro career. So Weezy, I'll be quick with this one. Um, Obviously -350 favorite on the Murata side, coming off the long layoff, which I think is one of the only red flags for me. I did the square thing and just parlay Murata with Drew Dober. Parlay was around -150. Um, Maybe not super recommended in terms of parlaying a heavily juiced WMMA favorite, but I think Murata just has a lot of edges in this fight. Demopoulos, I really don't rate her highly anywhere. Murata is going to want to wrestle. Obviously, she's had 2 years to develop a game plan, a little over 2 years to develop a game plan for her comeback, whether she knew the opponent or not. And as soon as you know the opponent, okay, let me just train my fucking armbar defense, make sure I'm safe from the top, which supposedly she's gonna be in for a lot of this fight, and just stay safe, win rounds, win minutes, and win the fight. And that's exactly what I think she's gonna do. Marata's hands are devastatingly bad, but I still think she can hang on the feet and at least you know balance it out what Demopoulos offers on her feet, which is not much, which is also not much. So never thought the day will come where I say Murata can hang on the feet with any woman, but now she's fighting Demopoulos, and Demopoulos's offensive striking is terrible as well. So if it's standing, which obviously Murata's not going to want for too long, she's very aggressive trying to get the takedowns. When she is on top, she's heavy on top, pretty good top control. Not looking to lay the most damage, but her ground and pound is decent when she lets it go. She's aggressive enough for me on the ground, right? Nothing too crazy, not super aggressive on the ground, but she's trying to advance. She's trying to advanced positions enough for me. So I think Murata wins this handily. Obviously, it's a WMMA fight, so probably get some overs, probably go to decision. But I think this can very, very likely be a 30-27 for Murata. So that's why I have no problem parlaying her at this price. It's gross, no doubt about it. It's pretty gross, but just a full fade of Demopoulos. I think Murata's gonna know what her game plan is, like we've seen in all her other fights. Execute the game plan against a very, very, very low level opponent and get in and get out with a W. So I think it's that simple for me, Weezy. What do you think about this one?
Yeah, I agree 100%. Murata's an elite wrestler, not just a really good wrestler. I mean, we're talking elite.
Yep.
And Vanessa Demopoulos is a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt who would rather be grappling anyway. If you take down Vanessa, she's fine with that. She'll lay on her back. She'll set up arm bars. That's what she does. That was always her base in fighting was her Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. So she's got a 59-inch reach. So what's she supposed to do, right? She's got to grapple. She's not going to be able to win. Has a good style because she swings for the fences. And why not when you're the one that's not going to win minutes anyway? Why not try to take your opponent's head off? Who cares if they shoot a reactive double leg? Now they're in your guard. You could play with your black belt there and try to find a mean submission. I think Murata takes her down. I think Murata has a lot of success on top. I think Murata is the first woman to finish Vanessa Demopoulos here. If we look at Vanessa over her career, she has not been fighting the type of grapplers. Lupi Godinez in that fight where she got that crazy did she beat Lupi with that? No. She lost by split decision, but Lupi was manhandling her in the wrestling exchanges. And Lupi doesn't have the kind of top game that Murata has. When you see Murata on the regional scene get on top of these hoes, she is absolutely crushing them from the top. She's working that arm triangle. She's landing nasty ground and pound. And she's been in there with some really good grapplers too. Emily Ducote, Virna Jandiroba. Randa Marcos is a really good grappler in her own right.
Mm-hmm.
So I think Kaneko is going to easily just go out there, take Vanessa down, and I think she's going to have a lot of room to work from the top. I think she's going to pass. I think she's going to land nasty ground and pound, and I think she's actually going to finish. I do have action on this fight. 1 unit fight doesn't go to decision at plus 190. So it's about a 34% implied probability. These women's fights finish about 30% of the time, 31% of the time in this particular weight class. But don't forget, Kaneko Murata has been away from the cage for over 2 years. Had her arm broken, and then during her rehab, I believe she tore her ACL. So you've got two big injuries on this woman. So something could go wrong there where you have the fight ending by injury. Vanessa Demopoulos is a fantastic submission grappler. She could
Mm-hmm.
catch Murata. Murata might panic tap if Vanessa goes for a leg lock on the leg where she had the recently reconstructed knee. And then also, I think Vanessa's got hands. I think that she throws with power on the feet. I think she could get a knockout. And I also believe that Kaneko might be the first woman to finish Vanessa Demopoulos. So plus 190, you got to be ready to look like an idiot when you're taking plus 200 shots. I mean, they're not going to work out all the time. But if they work out 4 out of 10 times in the long run, you're going to be profitable. And I think this is one of those spots that I think they got a little bit better than a 34% chance of finishing this fight.
Yeah, we'll talk about that a little bit later. Taking big dogs. Obviously you're not expecting to hit as much, but when you do hit that shit hits. And I think that was an amazing breakdown. I think you hit a lot of great points. Demopolis spends a lot of time on her back because of willingness to do that, right? Her confidence in her BJJ game. Oh yeah, I can catch these girls with something, so I'll just spend minutes
Mhm.
on my back. And in a 3 round fight, that's not necessarily what you want. So if you were super aggressive from bottom and not wasting those minutes, then fine, do your thing and highlight your best attributes. But she just spends way too many minutes on her back. And I like that. I like those under angles and stuff like that. I think that's a very, very good take that um Murata can finish Demopolis. I believe that as well. Even though it's favored to go to decision. And yeah, the injury stuff is super interesting too, right? You taking unders, right? Injuries cash unders, right? We just saw that not too long ago with the Fizai fight. So um yeah, that is a great point. So I love it. I love it. I'm glad we're aligned there. Um yeah, quick let's see. Yeah. So before we get to the next fight, we got a couple people watching. We appreciate you guys for being here. Obviously, an early start time. It's fight day, right? Fight start at 4 p.m. We wanted to get this out to you guys around noon. If you're making some last minute bets, we got playoff baseball today, college football. But if you want a little bit of action, a little bit of sprinkles and some fights, we wanted to set you guys up with the proper information. So hit the like button on the video. Be we're more than happy, we more than welcome engagement too. If you guys got picks for these fights, drop them in the comments. Have any questions for us, drop them in the comments. We'll be happy to get to them and answer them for you. But yeah, let's keep it going. We got a pretty good pace. Let's keep it going to a fight I actually do have action in. So Nate Maness versus Mateus Mendonca, both guys making their 25 not debuts, but both guys going back down to 25. First time Mateus is at 25. We've seen Nate barely make 25 in the past. Um, but yeah, best price I'm looking at on the Picket Sports app plus 205 on the Nate Maness side, minus 250 on the Mendonca side. Nate Maness 14-3 as a pro, and Mateus Mendonca is 10-1 as a pro. So Weezy, I'm gonna let you kick this off. I'm interested to hear what you got to say about this fight. Super interesting fight. I think this is good matchmaking. I think this is gonna be an exciting fight. Possibly some violence in this fight, but interested to hear what you got to say. What do you like, Weezy?
Yeah, for Mendoza, you got the shoot box Diego Lima product. This kid's only 24 years old, and he's already fought some good guys. His win that he got before he got his Dana White Contender Series shot was against UFC veteran Pedro Nobre, guy with 25 fights. Like a 36-year-old who's been around, and a guy who had a good record there, not only with the UFC but also on the Brazilian regional scene. And Mendoza beat him pretty cleanly. Beat him in the clinch one round, got on top of him another round, and outboxed him in the third round. So, he's shown a pretty well-rounded skill set. Big unknown, though, with him dropping down to 125, how he's going to perform down there for the first time. We saw how Manus performed at 125, and we saw how he looked on the scale against Tagira Bekov. Not a good look. The guy looks like a skeleton. He looks like he won't be able to perform optimally. So while I'm not laying the juice on Mendoza here at minus 250, I think he gets the win. But I did get the under 2.5 rounds at plus money when that dropped. And I love that. Both of these guys' durability could absolutely be compromised, making this cut for the first time for Mendoza down to 125. And, when Mendoza's at the age at 24, that's usually when you see guys like saying, you know what, I got to move up a weight class now. I'm growing into my man body. I'm not, going to be able to make, like Tatsuro Taira, for instance. That kid is not going to be able to make 125 for much longer, and he's only like 23, 20, something like that. He's going to grow. He's going to grow. He's going to have to move up to 135. And now you got Mendoza, who was fighting at 135, now moving down. So I like the under here. I like violence. Both of these guys have got good power. With Mendoza, you got a good, really well-rounded fighter with a bright future, I think. 4 wins by submission, 3 wins by knockout, 3 wins by decision. They feed him to Javid Basharat in his debut, which means that they really think that this kid has a bright future. They're not trying to ruin a prospect by feeding him to Basharat, but I think they wanted to find out. hey, is this kid like, do we get him on the championship track right away here? They wanted to find that out right away, and yeah, Javid did what he does. The guy is a phenomenal, well-rounded minute winner, and he can get finishes too. So yeah, I think Mendoza wins this fight. Love the under 2.5 here. I got it at plus 115, but I also put it in my greasy four-leg parlay this week at minus 140. I just think it hits. I think somebody gets served in this spot. I could see Manus getting a knockout. I could see Mendoza getting a knockout. I could see Mendoza getting a submission. So I'm liking violence in this spot.
Yes, my brother. I 100% agree. So I don't make bets that often super early, right? I like to try to get as much info as I can, watch the weigh in stuff like that. So I'm not kind of buying out of spots. So often I miss the best of the lines. And that's kind of what happened here. I got the under 2.5 at minus 135. I still like it. I would have played it up to minus 150, minus 155. I think this line should have been 1.5, maybe plus money to the over. And that's kind of what you're seeing on some books now. So some books have definitely adjusted. Obviously love the number that you got, Weezy, and that's why you are the best. But yeah, for a lot of the reasons that you said, love the under. Both guys very dangerous. 7 combined subs between the two. Both guys dangerous on the feet. You mentioned the shoot the box style from Ines. What I like even more about that style is he throws less of that spinning shit. He throws big and he's super aggressive and stuff like that, but less of the spinning shit. More of I just want to punch you right in the fucking face. I want to kick your fucking calf off, and I like that stuff. I think that's the stuff that is obviously more likely to finish a guy than spinning fucking back wheel kicks and shit like that.
Yeah.
Um, didn't didn't Mendonca throw like a cartwheel kick or some shit like that? Or am I
Oh,
thinking about somebody else?
he might have. I mean, the guy
Yeah, it was,
does every once in a while throw some shit where you're like, whoa, that's some capoeira there from
yeah,
the
bro.
young man. But
I was
he, like
watching
you said,
tape and I saw the fucking cartwheel. I almost lost it, bro. I was like, what the fuck? And it wasn't even like a true attempt. It was like he was just trying to maybe do a cartwheel for the first time. It was fucking ridiculous, Weezy. I don't know what the
yeah,
fuck I was watching.
these Brazilians got some flair sometimes. So sometimes you just got to give them the style points for going for it. I remember once seeing Sam Alvey attempt a spinning hook kick in the
Oh my
UFC, and it
fucking
looked
god.
horrible. And then Daniel Cormier, who was calling the fight, screamed, "Look at that athleticism!" It was one of the best moments that he's ever had in front of the mic. It was hilarious. But yeah, it's fun when you see these guys try some shit that they probably shouldn't sometimes.
And shout out to Sam Alvey, still doing the fucking job
Yep.
wherever he's. I don't know the name where he's at right now, but still KOing motherfuckers.
Karate
So
combat. He did
yeah,
it.
shout out to Smiling Sam Alvey. Shout out to him. I'll drink to that. But yeah, like you said, I like violence. I think Mendonca's a little bit more likely to finish the fight, but still
Yep.
plenty of finishing equity from Nate. I really like Nate's hands, super clean boxing. Also destroys the calf. Both guys really, really well rounded. So this fight can finish on the feet. It can finish on the mat. Maness is gonna have the cardio advantage, but Mendoka's one of those guys that he obviously tires and kind of quick, but he pushes through it well. He's still gonna throw, still very dangerous, and that's what I want. I don't want to one of the one half of the equation to gas out in the second round, and all the all the danger on that side goes out the window. So yeah, really, really like the under. I was gonna sprinkle some, maybe some Mendonca finish props and stuff like that, but I think just root for the under. I think this fight can finish in the first 2 minutes of the fight. I think it can finish in the first 2 minutes of the third round. So either way, we cash. But yeah, super glad we're aligned on that. I saw some people kind of sprinkling Maness decision, sprinkling Mendoka decision, and all of that stuff, which I get if you get some good enough plus money. I get it. But yeah, I think we get violence in this fight. I think this is a banger. I think it's great matchmaking. Um, and yeah, we've seen Maness rock plenty of times. And you mentioned the
Oh
Basharov
yeah.
fight. Mendoka cracked Basharov a couple times, right? Maybe he didn't look that hurt, but he fucking cracked him a couple of times in that fight. Especially in the first round. He had Basharov's knees kind of wobbling and shit like that. And then the Maness fight, I mean, he's not getting finished left and right. Only been finished twice in his career, and only once in the UFC, and then the Lopoulos fight where he gets KO. But I mean, you look at the Umar Nurmagomedov fight. Every single fucking round in that fight, Umar is ending the round in mount in dominant position, especially in that third round. If you give him 10, 15 more seconds in the third round, he finishes Maness. And then the great and then the Gravely fight. What a fucking fight that was. Gravely starches Maness at the end of the first round. Ref somehow doesn't stop it. I mean, Maness was fucking sleeping. That man was having, that man was thinking about what he's gonna eat for dinner. I don't know what the fuck, but that man was sleeping. And the ref let it go, and it shout out to Maness, came back and knocks Gravely the fuck out. So yeah, I mean, he's been hurt plenty of times. I think we get violence in this fight. So I 100% agree with you. I'm glad we're aligned there. My man Dub Tay in the Twitch chat, we appreciate you, my guy. Los Santos, a lot of second round finishes tonight. Yeah, I agree. We're gonna talk about that too. We got the Felipe Lins fight coming up. That may be a second round fight right there. So yeah, I agree with that. Maybe the Piper fight. We're gonna talk about the Buckley fight too. Yeah, that's interesting. Second rounds should be super interesting tonight. But yeah, let's keep it going. Let's keep it going, Weezy. So another fight. I think this is a great fight. Karolina Kowalkiewicz versus Diana Belbita. Using the Pick a Sportsbook app, Carolina best price minus 145. Belbita best price on the comeback plus 122. Carolina's 15-7 as a pro, and Diana Belbita is also 15-7 as a pro. So Weezy, this fight is super interesting. I'm gonna give the floor to you. But this fight is super super interesting. I came into the week really really wanting to back Kovacevic, right? Looking for ways. I taped this fight 2-3 times, like dying, looking for ways to back Kovacevic. And I just can't do it. I don't want to be put in a position to fade either of these women. Caroline is old, and that keeps getting mentioned throughout the week, but she still got it. She still looks pretty fast, still looks with it. And in WMMA, 37 is a lot less old, if that makes any sense. I think Caroline is a young 37, and in WMMA, even younger 37. So she still looks in there. Obviously on a win streak. She's won 3 straight fights after, her fair share of L's and stuff like that. But Diana Belbita is a fucking dog. So, she's not elite with the hands, offensively, but, throws big, keeps her chin tucked, throws big bombs, and can definitely crack on the feet. And, good get up game. She's just a fucking dog everywhere. She's relentless. She's aggressive. She puts pressure on you. And if you slow down, um, we're gonna talk about Bill Algeo later, guys like Billy Q, guys like that. If you show the first instance of slowing down, the beat is gonna come for your fucking throat. So, and I love that. I love that. So I don't want to be put in a situation where maybe Carolina's winning the first round, maybe part of the second round, and Belbita just kind of puts it on her. Obviously, easiest path for Kovacevic is going to be the offensive wrestling. We've seen Belbita. I mean, fucking Oliveira, for Christ's fucking sake, was taking down Belbita pretty easily too, just getting to her hips super easily. And Belbita not really putting up much resistance. Now Belbita's a dog, like I said, so she was elbowing the shit out of her from bottom and eventually worked her way up when she got taken down, but still not a good look. So I see pass for both women. Both women are dogs. I don't want to be stepping in front of either woman. If Carolina was minus 110, I'd take Carolina, but that's just not the case. You're paying juice for Carolina against a junkyard fucking dog in Belbita. So I stayed away, Wheezy. Like a big puss. My lean would be Carolina. But I'm staying away. What do you think, Wheezy?
Yeah, I don't have any action on this fight either. And, I could really see arguments why you would say that either one of these ladies would win. But with Belbita, that the reason I ultimately didn't bet against Diana, she's almost 11 years younger. She's 4 inches taller and she's got a 4 inch reach advantage. She's landing 8.92 distance strikes per minute spent at distance. So if you take out the grappling time in her fights, and just consider the time that's spent at distance striking range, she's landing 3.91 more strikes than the average women's strawweight lands per minute at distance, and she's attempting 8.95 more. So Diana Belbita's grappling game not great. She's got 9.4% control time for. She allows 30.79% control time. So if you've got a fighter against Diana that you know is going to wrestle, then you could say, like, okay, yeah, I kind of like the Kovacevic side here. But the problem is that Kovacevic has 15 UFC fights and she's only attempted 13 takedowns. She's only gotten 4. So what does that tell me? tells me this fight's probably going to take place at distance striking range for the majority of the fight. Because I don't think Deanna is going to be trying to take down Carolina here. She's younger, she's faster, she's got a 4-inch reach advantage, 4-inch height advantage. She throws more volume. Why wouldn't she want to be at distance striking range with Carolina? So I think Diana is going to get the fight that she wants here. And if she gets that fight, I think she could potentially win this one by decision. I'm picking Karolina Kowalkiewicz to win by decision, but right now you've got one woman who's in the minus 160s, another one that's in the plus 140s, and I think that this fight goes to decision. And right now you could get somebody like Belbita by decision at plus 180, plus 210 over on Betway. Man, I think that that's where the value is, but I am also staying away from this fight. I think it's going to go the distance, and I think what you're going to say after the 15th minute of the fight is, man, I have no idea who won that fight. So I think you'd rather probably be on the plus money side, but I'm staying away, and I just don't feel like I have a good handle on which one of these ladies is going to win at the end of the day.
Yeah, 100%. I agree. And if we get a 15-minute kickboxing fight, that's where I would probably regret a Kovacevic ticket at choke. Right, I don't want her standing for
Yep.
15 straight minutes because that, like you said, that's going to be sweaty as shit. So I think the split decision props were very ass for this fight. So, um, but it seems like that type of fight to me. Right, 15 minutes passes, like you said, you don't know who the fuck wins, and maybe if you got some plus money on the Belbita side, you're happy. But then you lay chalk on KK and you're kind of sweating your ass off. So,
Yeah.
that scares me too. And I think that was a great breakdown. Jerusalem in the chat, what time is UFC? So the prelims start at 4 p.m. Eastern time today, and the main card starts at 7 p.m. Eastern time today. So we're about to get into the main card. So yeah, pretty early start. If you got any plans, cancel them. Cancel them, Jerusalem. Cancel all the fucking plans and sit down and watch some fights, make some money. Inspire. I'm here for Carolina Kowalkiewicz from Poland. Let's get it. Definitely the simp main event of the week, the smoke show main event of the week. So yeah, very interesting fight again. Great matchmaking. We can most of the time rely on that, but yeah, it should be an interesting fight. I'll definitely be watching as a fan of both of these ladies. Should be a great scrap. Let's move on, Weezy. A very interesting fight. A lot of guys talking about this fight leading up, and I think it's gonna be a great one. Another really good matchmaking spot. And I'll let you kick this off, Weezy. I mean, we got Felipe Lins and Iwan Cutelaba. Felipe Lins plus 115, best price you can get using the Picket Sports app. Ian Cutelaba, the favorite at minus 135. So we've seen some line movement, obviously, on this one, like we have on most of the fights. Felipe Lins 17-5 as a pro. E1 17-9-1 as a pro. Weezy, what do you think about this one?
Yeah, I've got a 1 unit bet on Felipe Lins here at plus 135. I got it earlier in the week. I just thought the line was off. I mean, I could see either one of these guys winning, but I like Lynn's cardio better. I like Lynn's size better. I think both of these guys have got really good power on the feet. But I think Linz is the far more dangerous submission grappler. Look, Linz is 4-0 to the submission in his career, and Iwan Cutelaba is 2-4 to the submission. If I feel like one of these guys is more likely to make a mistake, it's without question Cutelaba. This guy gets finished all the damn time, dude. I mean, we've seen Felipe Lins get knocked out in 4 of his 5 losses, but with Cutelaba, it's 8 of 9 losses that this dude is getting finished in. So, I mean, I think that yeah, it would be terrifying actually to bet an over in this fight, but actually my pick is Felipe Lins to win by decision. So it's a
Mm,
fat plus money number. So it might be something worth playing for a small amount. Obviously not a full unit, quarter unit, something like that. You could probably win over a unit by this. And why I'm thinking this is that Lins is the guy that when I saw on tape is that he is the guy who might go in there with a minute winning game plan. If he lands the big shot, fine. If the finish presents itself, fine. But he's going out there and going to decision with guys like Andrei Arlovsky, with Marcin Proknio, with Maxim Grishin. These are all guys who get finished a ton. And Linz is going to decision with them. The last 2 times he's went to decision, he did it winning with his clinch game and with his grappling and with his wrestling. So I could see the same situation happening here where Kutalaba is going to be very dangerous early, very explosive early. He will probably be the one getting the takedowns because he's got those really nice Greco entries, where he can do the upper body thing. He can use his leverage, trips, sweeps, reaps, throws, that kind of stuff really does work at this level, especially when for the bigger guys, and I could see him having success. But the one thing we haven't been able to count on with Kudalaba is a full 3 rounds, a minute winning style where that we can count on that guy not making mistakes and going out there and making some plays and finishing fights or finding a way to win a decision. I mean, like, this guy's had 28 fights. He's only been a decision 4 times. So, and he's 2-1-1 in those decisions. So, yeah, man, I think Felipe Lins wins this, and I think he actually wins it by decision, but got a 1 unit bet on him at plus 135 here. It was one of the dog shots I liked this week.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. Also one of the few dogs that I took this week. I like Felipe Lins in at plus 125. Take it at whatever it's at now. If you get plus 115, I still like that. So Felipe opened as a favorite, I believe. Got bet to a dog. And now we see, steam coming in on Felipe, making him a slightly smaller dog. So interesting line movement there, but obviously the books open Felipe Lins as a favorite for a reason. I think this is a really good matchup for him. Coming down, obviously won the million in PFL. Last couple fights have been at light heavyweight, and a lot of his damage that he's taken recently hasn't really taken any major damage recently. Hasn't been knocked out in his last 3 fights, all W's. But a lot of his damage in his career has come at heavyweight. Now he's down at light heavyweight. Still facing an extreme power punch in Iwan Kutalaba, but especially at chalk, you're paying minus 140, minus 150 for a guy with 1 round of cardio, a guy with negative fucking fight IQ. Wherever this fight goes, Iwan is gonna make mistakes, whether it's on the feet, winging fucking punches,
Yeah.
whether it's on the ground, whether it's in dominant positions from bottom, wherever the fucking fight goes, Iwan is gonna make mistakes. And I can't blame you taking a shot at the plus money decision prop. I just think, even Felipe can finish guys, and we've seen that. You broke down you broke down the stats. I do not mind Felipe Lin's finishing ability at all, but even somebody who's less of a finisher than Felipe can finish Iwan, because Iwan finishes himself.
Yeah.
Pause. So yeah, I think Ewan is going to be very dangerous early, like you said. He can definitely crack dynamite in his hands.
Mhm.
Uh, but Felipe just, I mean, I don't know if you saw him on the scales, Weezy. That man is fucking jacked. The
Yeah.
fucking Flintstone gummies, the advanced Pepto Bismol he taking. I don't know what the fuck it is, but the man has it. The man has it. Even when he was fighting the light heavyweight early in his career, his body just looks so much different. He looks so much more fucking jacked. Pause. And we're seeing that. We're seeing the cardio be slightly better. We're seeing him look really, really good because of those supplements. So
Yeah.
um, yeah, I mean, I played Felipe money line. I played Felipe by sub at plus 850, and I played
I
the
love
round
that.
two. Yeah, I played the round two, round three sub at plus 2,000. The combo round sub prop. Obviously Felipe can get it done in the first round by sub or by KO, and that's why we got the money line. But as this fight progresses, E1 has 1 round of fucking cardio. So, you know, Felipe has come out in interviews and said that he expects Ewan to wrestle. He expects Ewan to kind of play a little bit smarter. Ewan has come out and said he wants to fight smarter and wants to kind of get back on track, get his career back on the right foot. And I hope he wrestles. I hope he comes out and wrestles because he's just going to gas himself even more. And the mistakes he makes, even offensively wrestling, are going to put us right in line to cash his sub prop. So he leaves his neck out there all fucking crazy, and just the mistakes he makes on the ground. There's just going to be so many opportunities to finish his fight however he wants for Felipe. So yeah, give me Felipe by however the fuck he wants to do it. Hopefully it's by sub. And yeah, you can get a sub a variety of different ways. I say this all the time on the show. You can just, catch somebody making a mistake. Somebody can gas, leaving them super vulnerable, or it can be more of a club and sub situation. So plenty of opportunities to get there. I was actually surprised. I don't know about you, Weezy. I was surprised that this number was 850. I missed
Yeah.
the best of the line too. I think it was floating around plus 1,000 on some books. So I'm shocked at that number. I really am shocked at the number. I think he can sub him just as easily as he can KO him. So yeah, hopefully we hit some sprinkles. I like the dog in this one too. I'm glad we're aligned on that. And then yeah, I would sprinkle all of what we're talking about, whether that's Felipe by decision, Felipe by sub.
Yeah.
If you want to get real fancy, round two and round three sub for 20 to 1. So yeah, I like that. I like that, Weezy. I'm glad we're aligned.
Yeah, and let me
Let's
just say this, I mean,
yeah,
when you find those bets where you look at, and this is one of the things that the advanced stats on my Patreon shows, is what somebody's record is to the decision, to the submission, and to the knockout. And when you see one guy's 4-0 and the other guy's 2-4, one guy's a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt, another guy makes mistakes constantly. I saw that sub prop too. I saw it at plus 850 or 900, and I have no idea why I didn't just say, I'm throwing a quarter unit on that. I didn't
yeah.
bet the decision prop yet either, but I still might get there before these fights start because I think that they're good looks. But yeah, Mike Lynn's here. Wouldn't be surprised if he got the win, and if he does, I'm cashing a plus 135.
Yeah, I mean, if you're E1 and you're getting severely outgrappled and submitted by Johnny Walker, I mean, come the fuck on, bro. Come on, bro. I will never forget that. That will be engraved into my fucking memory. So yeah, and Felipe is much, much, much more dangerous on the mat than a guy like Johnny Walker is. So even if Ewan comes out and he says, "Listen, I want to be smart. Fuck that Hulk shit that I had going on. I want to be smart. I want to wrestle." He's still gonna get finished. And I hope he does wrestle. Please wrestle. Felipe, stuff one or two takedowns. Let him get the takedown at the end of round one. And let him gas himself out. Les Santos, I love what you said there. I have a bet for Algio second round. We're gonna talk about that. I also bet Algio second round, even though I'm on Hernandez. I don't care if it's a sub or a KO. Hernandez had taken people's money, and now they will realize Algio's the real dog. Yeah, we're gonna talk about that fight, bro. I'm gonna get canceled. I'm gonna get canceled for my take on that fight. But yeah, yeah. I agree. Based on what you're seeing so far from both guys, how can you argue with that? Um, so yeah, let's keep it moving. Oh yeah, perfect segue. So the next fight, Alexander Hernandez versus Senor Perfecto Bill Algio. Um, Lines bouncing all over the place, Weezy. I'm seeing minus 110 best price for both guys right now. Using the Pick a Sports app. Alexander Hernandez 14-6 as a pro, Bill Algio 17-7 as a pro. So yeah, this line was bouncing around every fucking where. I don't know where it opened, but
It
I
opened around
believe
minus 110. I think Hernandez was a slight favorite on the opener. Let me look here. Bet
okay,
online. Bet online opened him at minus 105. So they opened him
okay.
actually as a slight dog.
Yeah, and they got bet to an even bigger dog. I think I saw him at like
Yeah.
plus 140, plus 150. And then Steam, continues even as of now, as of last night, to come in on Alexander Hernandez. And I'm gonna take this one off, Weezy, because I'm passionate about this one, Weezy. I'm passionate about this one. So um I locked in Alexander Hernandez money line at plus 114. I still like it at the price now. If you can get a minus 110, I like, of course, I like him better as a dog for a lot of reasons that I'll talk about. But yeah, we're gonna ride with it, and we're gonna, Weezy. Part of what I'm buying into with Hernandez is upside, right? You never want to bet on hope. I don't think I'm betting on hope. I'm more betting on upside. Undeniable talent on the Hernandez side. Chris boxing, good jab, good power punches, nasty kicks, attacks with kicks from all angles. Great head kicks, and we're gonna talk about that in a second. Because Algio has been susceptible to head kicks, super nasty elbows in close, great speed, very aware wherever the fight goes. Um, this is the most controversial one, Reezy. You ready for this one? The durability, right? I think Hernandez is fairly durable. I think that's different than having a bad gas tank, and kind of quitting in some spots. I think he's durable. I think he's tough. I think he's durable. I think he has a good chin. Obviously he's been finished, but it's against absolute fucking killers at a weight up. Um, and it's come when he's gassed, right? And when you're exhausted, exhaustion is going to make cowards of us all, as we all
Yeah.
know. Much easier to finish a guy when he's death gassed, and no matter how tough that guy is, which I do think Alex is tough. When you're just gassed like a motherfucker, it's so much easier to get finished. And his KOs have been, you know, volume KOs, right? Up against the fence, volume KOs, the ref
Mhm.
pulling you off of him, standing TKOs rather than I'm gonna knock you the fuck out with one punch and really chin the fuck out of you. Um, Billy Q, Drew Dober, standing TKOs against the cage. And those are
Yeah.
two absolute savages, right? So I'm not gonna, fault you for that. Obviously the L's, but I think Hernandez is tough. I think he takes shots well. I think he rolls well with punches. Also a smart guy, right? I listen to him speak outside of the octagon. Seems like a very smart guy. Watching him fight, very smart in there. I think his IQ is good. Again, when you gas, your IQ is gonna go out the fucking window, right? So if you're
Yeah.
shelling up and not defending shots well because you're tired, I don't really think that lends to bad fight IQ. Great takedown defense, great top game, heavy on top, nasty ground and pound, BJJ black belt. Good get up game, which has been a point of contention this week. And he's going back down to featherweight, and this also may be controversial, but I think I like him at featherweight, Weezy. I mean, I think this is gonna eventually be his home, his proper weight class. Despite what happened in the Billy Q fight, where he gassed, he looked in great shape pre-fight. His speed translates well to the division. He's still extremely powerful, obviously at featherweight. And he's been a smaller guy in most of his fights. He came out after one of his fights and said that most nights these guys are 15, 20 pounds heavier than him in the cage, and that's an obvious disadvantage. So um Algio, right? Senor Perfecto, right? That's all I'm hearing this week is, oh, this is the exact same fight as the Billy Q fight. These are the exact same fighters. And I 100% disagree with that, Weezy. I don't know how you feel about that. I 100% disagree. I don't think Algio is going to put the pace on Hernandez like Billy Q does. Billy Q is relentless with the pace. He's going to push forward, eat punches to get in your face. Algio's not really like that. Algio's a little bit more light on his feet. He's still going to, inch forward, but he's not going to put that suffocating pressure on you. I think Billy Q has a bit more power. I think their fighting styles are different. Like I said, Algio's a little bit lighter on his feet. Algio's more heavy footed, feet planted in the ground, just marching you the fuck down. And I don't think Algio is that type of fighter. Algio doesn't pose that much of a power threat with the hands, which is what Hernandez has struggled with. What else do I got? Yeah, Hernandez is going to be much more athletic, much faster. I think he can find the chin of Algio. And, I said this last night. I think you in the spaces. Algio's never been knocked out. I think that might change tonight, Weezy. I think that might change tonight. We've seen this guy get teed the fuck off on. I mean, TJ Brown, like who the fuck is that guy? Your average MMA fan doesn't know who the fuck TJ Brown is. And TJ Brown was teeing off on Bill Algio. Brown also took him down pretty easily, took his back too, which is what Algio likes to do. Brown just started to feel himself a little bit and got knocked the fuck out in round two. So shout out to him for shout out to Algio for coming back. Algio has a willingness to stand and trade in the pocket, right? A lot of guys I've heard talking about this fighter said that, oh yeah, Algio is going to push forward and take him down right away and finish him. And I don't think that's the case. Algio is extremely willing to trade in the pocket, and I think that's going to be very bad in this matchup. Like I said, we've seen Algio rock many times. Andre Philly hurt him with a head kick. Like I said, TJ Brown hurt him several times. And hasn't really consistently fought anybody with the power of Hernandez. Obviously, Johannes and Brito can crack. We know that, but a lot of his fights have been against guys who don't carry the power that Hernandez does, who's a natural 55er. So I think there's a great chance Hernandez wins round one in this fight, which is critical in a 3-round fight, obviously. Um, and I think the Billy Q fight was a good experience for him. Beats the fuck out of Billy Q in the first round, but who doesn't whip the shit out of Billy Q in the first round? Completely gasses, and then gets standard TKO. So I think it's a good stylistic comparison to Bill Algio, even though I don't think they're the same style, or the same fight at all. But I think that's good experience for him. So I think this is his third time making featherweight. If you listen to him speak, he says he's a lot more healthier now. He looks a lot better now. Looking at him at weigh-ins and shit. And the Spike Carlisle fight really stood out to me, right? I think that's a fight where it can be somewhat comparable to this fight. Spike has one round of cardio, still had his moments versus Bill Algio. I mean, the scorecards read 30-27, but I think Spike won the first round. I think the scorecards were a bit ridiculous. Spike won round one, took Algio down in round two when he was already gassed, reversed Algio late in the round and ended the round on top again when he's already gassed. Hit Algio with some bombs and still had his moments in round three when he was fucking dog shit tired. And I think Hernandez can have some of that success. So, like I said at the top, Weezy, I'm buying into a little bit of upside. You know what I'm saying? I'm buying into just kind of hoping that, not really hoping, but more the upside. More, I hope that the tank is a little bit better. Um, but I think this is a really good matchup. I think this is a step down for Alexander Hernandez and a step up for Bill Algeo. So at dog odds, I had no problem taking Alexander Hernandez. Algeo's never been knocked out, like I said, but I think that's my hot take probably for the week. I think Hernandez, well, I got a little bit of a hot take that we'll talk about later, but I think Hernandez wins this fight inside the distance. And obviously it's most likely going to be by KO. And despite what people think, I think it comes in round two or round three. Most likely round two. I'm gonna go around two KO. But yeah, I mean, just for Jim Miller, and you say what you want about Jim Miller. He's 40, he's old, whatever, but Jim Miller's a fucking savage. And Jim Miller's still putting guys away at his age, this deep into his UFC career. So I think the cardio took a step in the right direction. His overall game planning and mind took a step in the right direction in that fight. So yeah, I'll take a chance and buy it on the upside. Wheezy. I know I talked a lot on that fight, but I really like it, and that seems to be one of the Twitter civil wars of the week. So I know a lot of people on Algeo Steam still coming in on Alexander Hernandez. So I like that for my bet. But yeah, give me Alexander Hernandez plus 114. I will still take it where it's at now. And I am done talking, Wheezy. What do you think about this fight?
Yeah, I've got two bets on this fight. Early in the week, I caught the over 2.5 rounds at plus 125 for this fight. Um, I feel like I can count on Bill Algeo's durability. Guy's very durable. He hasn't been submitted or finished in a fight since 2014, I think. And I think that was against Shane Burgos in
Yep.
CFFC. 9 years ago was the last time that anybody finished Bill Algeo. And my other bet is Alexander Hernandez to win by decision at plus 350. That was my Bootsy Collins Memorial Dogs Are Barking pick of the week. I really like what. So when I was capping this fight, I always look at the stats first. I always just kind of like wiki cap it, because on my Patreon I've got tail of the tape, pro experience, UFC experience, finish stats in wins and losses, decision stats, significant striking stats, distance striking stats, clinch and ground striking stats, grappling stats, offense and defense, control time stats, strength of schedule in their last 5 fights. So I've got all that information in one place, and I just kind of like look it over. And then I kind of figure out, all right, what kind of a matchup is this? And then when I look at what kind of a matchup I think it is, I kind of pick the fights that I want to tape, from each fighter, because you can't watch everything. If you're gonna break down 11 fights every week, 22 fighters. I mean, imagine if you were spending an hour on each fighter just watching tape. And that's just 1 hour. A lot of us do that. So 22 hours worth of tape, that's a lot for 1 week for 1 week of gambling. So you have to pick out the fights that you want to watch. And my thought was that I was going to bet Algeo, because I kind of saw the fight the same as the Quarantillo fight. Hernandez fades late, all that shit. And then I watched the tape and I'm like, you know what? Against Quarantillo, Hernandez didn't gas. He was winning that fight. And then
Yep.
and then Billy landed a bomb of a right hand. When he
Yep.
landed that, Hernandez backed up, looked like he didn't know where he was. Billy saw that he hurt Hernandez, and then Billy Q does what Billy Q does. Empties the tank, throws so much volume, drowns you in it, and breaks you. He
Yeah, and,
didn't
and
go
that's what I'm
out.
talking about, Weezy. Like, you don't think he quit? You don't think Alexander Hernandez quit in that fight, right?
No, I don't think he
Yeah, he
quit
just
in
got
that fight. I
yeah, he
don't
just
think
got
he
beat the fuck
gassed in
up.
that fight.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
you don't blame somebody who gets knocked out cold and say like, "Oh, they gassed." No, they got knocked the fuck out. That's
Yep.
exactly what happened. It's
Yep.
clear. Go watch the tape. But when you see that right hand that Billy Q landed to start the flurry that ended the fight, you'll see what I'm talking about here. Hernandez wasn't tired. He got cracked by a guy with serious power in Quarantillo. Algeo does not have that kind of power. Also, I saw that Hernandez does his worst work when he's the one being pressured. Guess what? Bill Algeo doesn't pressure. Bill Algeo stays on his back foot, maintains range, and throws a lot of volume. Hernandez is going to be the one walking Algeo down.
Yep.
And I like that as well. So I think I'm going to count on Algeo's durability here. I think I'm going to count on Alexander Hernandez's ability to win minutes and be the better striker here. And I think that Alexander is going to be able to take Bill down anytime he wants, because Bill's been taken down 22 times in 7 UFC fights. He's got 54% takedown defense. Does he have a great get up game? Sure, he does. But doesn't mean that, Hernandez can't use his wrestling to win minutes whenever he feels like it. So I think Hernandez is going to win this fight by decision. I'm looking to cash the over 2.5 at plus money, and I got a half
Ooh,
unit on Alexander Hernandez to win by decision at plus 350, my friend. So that's
let's
the play here.
fucking go.
Yep, got Hernandez here.
I love it. I love it, Weezy. And I think you brought up a great point too, right? The lack of pressure from Algio.
Mm-hmm.
Hernandez looks really good when he's going first, right? That
Yeah,
bully shit, right? You listen to Alex Hernandez speak. He speaks like a dickhead. He speaks like a
yeah,
like a bully. He's a douchebag. It seems like in real life, and I
yeah.
think that energy passes over to the cage. I think Algio will give him every opportunity to go first, throw first, pump the jab in his face, land shots. So yeah, I really like that point. And yeah, I 100% agree. I think a lot of people are confused. I don't know if you ain't watched the tape and you just kind of, riding what other people are telling you, but I 100% agree. I think we're going to see maybe the best Alex Hernandez we've ever seen. And that's, again, partly me buying into the upside. I do understand that. I do realize that there is 100, there is a good possibility, or at least a possibility, that Hernandez does what he's done many times in the past. Round two comes and he gasses and he loses. And that's why I also bet, I forgot to mention, I did take Bill Algeo round two win at plus 1,000. You know what I'm
Okay.
saying? That's just kind of, that's like pulling the fucking fire alarm. You know what I'm saying? If we go back to just basic Alexander Hernandez, and he just completely gasses, and Algeo puts it on him in round two, we cash that bet and make profit for the fight. So yeah, I'm glad somebody fucking aligns with me. I do know, some of my guys that I trust, very few of them, but some of my guys that I trust are on Alex as well. So we'll see how it goes. But yeah, I think people are going to be surprised. I do. I think the majority of people are going to be surprised. So yeah, so let's keep it going. If you're still watching, we appreciate you. We're a little bit over an hour in. I'm gonna try to speed up the next couple of fights, at least on my end, so we can, I don't want to keep you guys here all day. But if you're still watching, like the video, helps us out a lot, helps us out with what they say, Weezy, with the algorithm, helps us out with the
That's
algorithm.
right. The
Yeah,
algorithm, the
so we
all-knowing
need that.
algorithm, all-seeing
Yep,
algorithm
yep,
loves the comments, loves the
we need that.
thumbs up.
I also heard that if you say Taylor Swift at all during the video, that the views go up. So there
I
you go. I said
believe
it.
that. I believe that, man. People are watching Chiefs games like it's going out of style, just being like, can we see
Yes.
Taylor Swift in the yeah, Taylor Swift, Taylor Swift,
Yep.
Taylor Swift. We just
Yep.
got
Taylor
50
Swift.
bots to the
There
channel.
we go. Boom. That's why I brought Weezy on. Weezy knows what the fuck it is. All right, so let's keep it going. Alex Morono versus Joaquin Buckley. Best price I'm seeing right now on Alex Morono is plus 145. Best comeback on, not comeback, but best odds on Joaquin Buckley minus 170. Alex Morono 23-8 as a pro. Joaquin Buckley 16-6 as a pro. So Weezy, I'm gonna keep this really quick and kick it off to you. I'm sure you have an amazing breakdown on this fight. I was hesitant, but eventually got to the window on Joaquin Buckley money line minus 165. I got it at. I'd probably take that up to probably around where it is now, minus 170, minus 175. That'd probably be the limit. Um, but yeah, Joaquin Buckley is going to be the way faster fighter, the way more powerful fighter, the way more explosive and athletic fighter. Morono, I respect the fuck out of Morono. It's really tough to pile up the wins that he's piled up in the UFC, especially at this division. He can be super tricky. He can be really, really tough and durable. But Joaquin Buckley is a different kind of beast. The last time Morono fought somebody with this kind of freak fucking athleticism was Khalil Roundtree, and Khalil Roundtree knocked him the fuck out, knocked Morono the fuck out. So I think Buckley has 15 minutes to find the chin. A lot of these muscly kind of guys, you expect them to have shit cardio, but I think Buckley has decent 15-minute cardio. I trust him for 3 rounds. I think he's just as dangerous all 3 rounds. I like the move to 70. I think that's his home. Obviously, the power is going to translate. I think the speed will translate as well in that division. And yeah, like I said, Morona can be tricky. He's definitely awkward on the feet. But he's only getting older. What is he now? Weezy 34? 33,
33
34.
years old, 33
Yeah,
years, 1
yeah.
month. Yeah.
Yeah, so not super old, right? I'm not trying to say super old, but you're getting up there, right? He's not 30, 29 anymore. So we seen, you know, he's fighting guys on the back end of their careers. Ponzinibbio's not fully watched, but he's getting there. And Ponzinibbio knocked him the fuck out. I know Morono was winning that fight, but Ponzinibbio just caught him with one shot and fucking literally rearranged his face. Weezy, I don't know if you remember that,
Yes,
but
I
the shot
saw
he
that.
took,
He
yeah,
literally rearranged his
yeah,
face. It
yeah,
reminded me of the Fat Barnett when his face went like his face fell against
yeah,
Collier. You remember that? And then he wound up
bro,
winning the fight. Dude, like he rearranged Morono's
bro.
face with one shot. You saw like, whoa.
Yeah, yeah. That's exact. I don't know what the fuck. It's like a child like drew what a face would look like or something like that.
Yeah.
Like Morono was like fucking like lost. I don't know what the like he short circuited. It was fucking crazy. And then obviously subs Tim Means, but Tim Means, despite his last win, definitely on the back end of his career. And
Yeah.
Tim Means just made a mistake and does what Tim Means does. Shot a takedown and left his neck out there, and Morono snatched up the neck. The Semmelsberger win, I like that win. I'm not gonna shit on that win at all. But then you got Mickey Gall, Donald Cerrone back in his career, Anthony Pettis back into his career, Reese McKee, Chaos Williams, he got knocked the fuck out, Max Griffin. So despite him being a vet and him accumulating all of these wins in the UFC, Joaquin Buckley still has a better level of competition. He's taking his fair share of L's too at the highest level. But yeah, I think Buckley's going to find the chin eventually. He has 15 minutes to do so. So I also played kind of shit odds, but I played Buckley round 2, round 3 KO at plus 360 on FanDuel. The kind of combo knockout props. I like that price. I wish I could have gotten plus 400, plus 450, but who doesn't wish they got a better price? So,
Yeah.
um, Buckley has been starting slower, kind of wanting to be more patient. And Morono, like I said, is that kind of awkward style on the feet, which can take some time to figure out. So I think a round 2 knockout is more likely than a round 1 knockout. So yeah, I like it. I like Joaquin Buckley. Even at chalk, I like Buckley. What do you think, Weezy?
Yeah, I've got one bet on this fight. I bet the over 1.5 rounds in this fight at minus
I like that.
145. So at minus 145, we got about a 59% implied probability on that bet. 66.6 or 2/3 of welterweight fights that are scheduled for 3 rounds go over 1.5 rounds. Alex Morono has 18 UFC fights and Buckley has 10. And in those 28 combined fights, these guys are going over 1.5 rounds 20 of 28 times, 71.43% of the time. You compare that past performance at 71.43% to the 59% over 1.5 price on the line. I really like this price here. I think it's a good parlay piece. It's one of the legs of my greasy four-legger this week. Over 1.5 rounds, even for Buckley, somebody that you think about having really fight-changing power, right? 9 of his 10 UFC fights have gotten out of round 1. So you really like that. I mean, over 82% of these guys combined UFC fights have gotten out of round 1. We're only paying 59% for the over 1.5 here. I'm picking Buckley to win. I think he probably gets a knockout, but didn't want to lay the juice. I was actually thinking about betting Morono. I liked the plus money number earlier in the week, was sitting around plus 160. So I was actually thinking about betting it there. And if you think where you got Buckley's line, plus 160, we could both be right there. You know what
Yep.
I'm saying? Like because Buckley, he might look like he wins this fight 2 out of 3 times, but if he wins it 2 out of 3 times and Morono wins it 1 out of 3 times, then we're right
Yep.
around in that same number. So yeah, I could see it going either way. I'm really rooting for the over 1.5 rounds here, but in terms of who wins the fight, I could kind of see it going either way. So I stayed away from any kind of money line action here and just went for the over 1.5.
Yeah, I like that bet. I think, like I said, I think there's a really good chance this fight gets out of round 1, and then you just kind of sweat in the last couple of minutes. So I really,
Yeah.
really like that fight. I think the average better will think, oh yeah, Joaquin Buckley's gonna knock his fucking face off in round 1, but I think it's more complicated than that. So yeah, I like that. I like that a lot. Did I miss the Munoz fight review? So yeah, we got to that earlier in the card. I didn't have any official action. I leaned Arichi Lang in that fight. I believe Wheezy, you also um
I'm picking Munoz in that fight, but
okay,
yeah,
okay.
there's no action on it for me, man.
Gotcha, gotcha. Yeah, so there you go, Jose. Appreciate you being here. My man always showing love in the chat, so I appreciate you, bro. But yeah, let's move on. I completely skipped the Judoba fight, did I? Yeah, I
Yeah,
did.
yeah.
I completely skipped the Judoba fight. So we'll go back to that one real quick. Drew Dober is fighting Ricky Glenn. Best price on Drew Dober is a whopping minus fucking 450. Come back on Ricky Glenn is plus 350. Drew Dober 26 and 12 as a pro. Ricky Glenn 22, 7 and 2 as a pro. So Weezy, again, I'm gonna be real quick on this one. I'm not gonna fucking spend forever talking about a minus 500 favorite. Like I said early in the show, I parlayed Drew Dober with Kanako Murata at minus 156 on DK. I also took a little violence parlay, a little two leg violence parlay. Drew Dober KO and Joe Pyfer ITD is plus 140 on FanDuel. So I really like that lay. Again, square as fuck. I don't really care. The ticket's gonna cash and I'm gonna make money. So I don't really give a fuck about it being square. Simple for me, Wheezy. Ricky Glenn is not good, especially now at this point in his career. His last fight was a extremely bad look. Getting knocked out by Christius Giagos, who's a fucking wrestler. That's just horrible. Before that, the draw against Grant Dawson, who we're gonna talk about in a bit. He was getting dominated in that fight, and then Dawson quit in that fight. So Glenn 10-8'd him, and shout out to him. It takes a lot to 10-8 somebody in a round three. So shout out to Ricky Glenn, right? Not trying to shit on him at all, but I think he is way past his prime. He is extremely fucking hittable. I do not like his hands on the feet. I don't like him offensively. Don't like him defensively on the feet. And now you find Drew Dober, who has absolute fucking bricks in his hands. I think Drew Dober is gonna knock Ricky Glenn's face off of his face, and I think it's gonna happen pretty early. And yeah, Drew Dober gets back on track. I mean, obviously, his fucking granite chin just got cracked
Crack.
last fight versus Matt Frivola, who shout out to Matt Frivola. I love me some steamroller.
Mhm.
How can you not love steamroller? Just lovable guy. But yeah, I think this is as much as of a setup and here you go, kid, get yourself right kind of spot for Drew Dober. Yeah, I just think there's no way he doesn't crack the fuck crack the fuck out of Ricky Glenn and knock him the fuck out. So I mean that's just as square as it gets. Did I play round? No, I did not play round one because it is so shitty. The odds are so fucking shit all over the place for a Drew Dober KO. So yeah, I parlayed up Drew Dober and then parlayed the violence Drew Dober KO with Joe Piper ITD. Pretty simple one for me, Weezy. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm afraid I don't have much to add there. I picked Drew Dober as the ass shaving of the week. I love his pressure. I mean, if you've got a great chin like Drew Dober has, if you have fight changing power like Drew Dober has, the third factor that I really need to see if I'm going to be a believer in your ability to win at this level is I want pressure, right? Why wouldn't you pressure the shit out of somebody when you know you can take more punches than them and when you hit harder than them? You're just going to bring a fight to them that they're going to lose 9 out of 10 times. And that's what I see happening here. I see Dober with that relentless pressure. That's one thing you see in every Drew Dober fight is him just walking forward. Complete contempt for the power of his opponents, knowing that he can last longer than they will. We just saw Glenn get absolutely removed from consciousness and banished to the land of winds and ghosts by Christos Yagos. So, yeah, I think maybe Dober first round, probably second round knockout is what I'm looking at here. I think Glenn might wrestle early, maybe have a little bit of success, but Glenn's 4 of 29 on his takedown attempts in the UFC. So even if you think that like Glenn's going to go out there and wrestle, man, he's got less than 14% accuracy on his takedown attempts. So it's kind of hard, it's hard to see Glenn winning this fight, but I'm not laying minus 450 on Drew Dober either, dude. You know what I mean? Like you parlayed him up. I think that's a good. I mean, Dober and Murata are both going to win. That cashes. And if Piper doesn't finish Abdul Razak Al Hassan, it would be pretty. Probably means that Abdul Razak Al Hassan finished him.
Yes, he
So
doesn't. Yeah, he doesn't win if he doesn't finish, in my opinion.
yeah,
So
exactly. I kind of think. So yeah, dude. Dober second round KO. Let's move on to the next.
yeah, I like that too. The Drew Dober round one KO is only plus 175. I was literally about to take that, even though the price is fucking terrible. But I kind of like fading that too, right? Round two KO is plus 470 on FanDuel. So I like fading round one and just hoping, it gets past the 5 minutes. I really like that look.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on. For those of you still watching, make sure to like the video for us. The simplest thing you guys can do, just click the button. It really helps us out. and kind of what makes what we're doing worth it. So Jose still in the chat. Appreciate y'all. I was leaning towards him as well for the little parlay. Absolutely, bro. Absolutely. Co-main event of the evening, Weezy. Um, you know, Dana White Contender Series legend, B. Joe Piper. B. Joe Piper fighting Abdul Razak Al Hassan in the co-main event of the evening. Joe Piper minus 400, best price you can get on him using the Picket Sports app. Al Hassan plus 310 on the comeback. Joe Piper 11-2 as a pro. Al Hassan is 12-5 as a pro. Bless you, Easy.
Thank you.
12-5 as a pro for Al Hassan. So yeah, I mean, I know a lot of people that I respect that are taking the plus 300 shot with Al Hassan, and I do not blame them at all. Piper's still unproven in the UFC. Al Hassan is extremely fucking dangerous on the feet. You guys see there in the little picture, where is it? Over there. Joe Piper obviously has him outsized, much taller opponent, much longer reach. But Al Hassan is extremely fucking dangerous. You talk about, the realm of shadows and ghosts. I mean, he absolutely separates motherfuckers from their consciousness. And I love it. I love that shit. So Piper's in danger. Piper's gonna be in danger for as long as this fight lasts. And you can't underestimate that. But Piper's an extremely smart guy. You listen to him talk. Even this week, he was talking about how he wants to set himself up properly, make sure he gets paid. Talking about how he came from nothing, came from being dirt poor, and he really wants to be smart and try to become a superstar and really build his name and his brand. And part of that is just winning fights. It doesn't always have to be spectacular. You don't always have to, swing and bang in a pocket for as long as the fight lasts. So, Al Hassan takedown defense is not bad. I think he has really, really good hips when he's defending the takedowns. But I think that's going to be the game plan that we see from Piper. I think Piper's going to go for. Listen, Piper loves striking, right? Piper loves striking and knocking motherfuckers out. But I think we're gonna see some more offensive wrestling from Piper. And I think that's smart. Whether that's, Al Hassan's gas tank is extremely fucking questionable. So whether your plan is to knock his ass out, and you just want to kind of tire him out and take some of that explosiveness away. I think Piper is very smart. I think he'll have a great game plan for this fight. And I think part of that game plan includes offensive wrestling. So for that reason, I mean, I also took Piper by sub at plus 550, and I took Piper round two, round three sub at plus 2000. So, yeah, let the first 5 minutes go. Wrestle your ass off in round one, Joe. Let the first 5 minutes go, and then give me a sub in round two, please. Just give me a little sub in round two. That's all I asked for. Pretty simple. I think Joe Piper wins this fight. The UFC wants Joe Piper to keep on winning fights. I mean, that's pretty obvious. He's in a co-main event slot versus a guy that's still going to pose some danger and maybe get the fans excited, but a fight that I think the UFC expects him to win and continue to add on to his resume. So, like I said, Al Hassan is dangerous. He deserves his respect. He can for sure knock Joe Piper's fucking face off. I'm not, that is not out of the equation, not out of the equation at all. But I think Piper's smart enough to. I think he's tough enough to take some shots. First of all, I don't think it's a one hitter quitter. As soon as Al Hassan touches his chin, it's over. I don't think it's that type of situation. And I think Piper's smart enough to kind of know what he needs to do, keep at distance, use the wrestling. He's going to be bigger, going to have the length advantage, which helps with the offensive wrestling as well. So yeah, give me Joe Piper. I did not parlay him up because I didn't have a good parlay partner. But like I said, I took Piper ITD, parlayed it with Drew Dober ITD. I mean KO at plus 139, and then Piper by sub plus 550. Piper round two, round three sub at plus 2000. Weezy, how you feel about this one?
So I put a half unit earlier in the week on Abdul Razak Al Hassan's money line at plus 360.
Yep.
And I just missed the plus 375 on Bet Online. And I mean, look, I think Piper wins this fight. I think he's the better wrestler. I think he's the
Yeah.
more dangerous submission grappler. He's 11 years younger than this guy. He's got a 2-inch reach advantage. He's got a 4-inch height advantage. He's white hot right now. He's got a lot of hype behind him. And I believe the UFC wants him to win, and they're setting him up with an opponent that'll fight his fight and make him look spectacular. But the problem with Razak is like this guy could close his eyes and throw a big swinging hook that would never really land against anybody, and then he just all of a sudden he clips you, and then it's over. It's just how he is. So I don't think that you can make somebody like Razak Al Hassan a plus 360 favorite without knowing that, yeah, as a long-term gambler, I'm willing to take a half unit shot on him because I know what his win condition is. And I know that
Mm-hmm.
Joe Piper is not this like suffocating grappler who's going to go out there and get 4 takedowns in the first round and 4 minutes of control time and completely wear out Abdul Razak Al Hassan. And plus, we've seen that Abdul Razak Al Hassan change a little bit here. I mean, in that Joaquin Buckley fight, he won the third round, and he won the third round with his grappling. You
Yep.
know, so now that he's training at elevation, we had Abdul Razak take like 3 or 4 years off in between fights because of the illegal problems that he was having. Now he's up a weight class. He's not cutting a ton of weight. We're seeing this guy kind of like evolve a little bit at this point in his career, and he's got less than 100 minutes of professional cage time. So even though he's 38 years old, he doesn't have a lot of miles on the tire. And like those, 12 of those fights, take place, they were all first round knockouts or an early second round knockout. So yeah, I mean, I think Abdul is kind of live here, man. I bet him. I'm picking Piper to win the fight, but when I'm getting plus 360, it means I only have to be right, about 21% of the time. And I'm fine with that. I think Abdul Razak Al Hassan can land a big shot 21% of the time in this fight so I can break even. And that's what I went with. But yeah, I'm picking Piper. I think he gets a win here, but I took a small shot because I'll win 1.8 units if Abdul does what Abdul does, and that's land a big shot.
Yeah, 100% agree. I agree with that. I think that's justified. 21% of the time, Al Hassan lands a big shot and knocks the fuck out of Joe Piper. I like it. And like I said at the top, I know a lot of people, that a lot of really smart guys that are doing the same thing. And I cannot blame you at all for doing that. So yeah, 100% picks are Joe Piper, but like Weezy
Yeah.
said, sprinkle a little bit on the Abdul Razak side. I like it. I like it. So Weezy, we are here. We are here. Main event of the evening. And I'm going to start this one off because I feel the same way about Bobby Green as you feel about Abdul Razak. So let me break it down, Weezy. I locked in Bobby Green at plus 333. I got reverse COV'd a little bit because I think he's now plus 350, plus 360, right around that area. I don't mind, obviously don't mind taking it there. You're getting better odds. But Weezy, you like the numbers, right? You go real in depth with the numbers. You do your homework, all of that type of stuff, right? A
Mhm.
minus 500 favorite. The implied probability is what, 85%? Pushing that?
83.33% is where
Yeah.
that pushes out. 1 out of 6
Yeah.
times the underdog wins. 5 out of
Yep.
6 times the favorite wins, and that's 83.33%.
Yep. I appreciate that, right? And that's right around where I thought. There is no way in fucking hell you're going to tell me that Bobby Green does not win this fight at least 1 out of 6 times. You're not going to tell me Grant Dawson wins this fight 8 to 9 times out of 10. You're not going to tell me that. I know Grant Dawson has been impressive. Um, but nobody's picking Bobby Green in this fight. Not only are they not picking Bobby Green in this fight, I've heard many takes that are saying Bobby Green has zero chance in this fight, and I think that's absolutely fucking ludicrous of a statement to say. I know Bobby Green is probably on the back end of his career. I know he slowed down. He hasn't looked the best in his last couple of fights. I get all of that, and I'm making this bet. I made this bet already, fully aware of the risks. Right, the main risk being Grant Dawson dominates him, takes him down easily, takes his back, rides the fuck out of him, grapple fucks him, maybe finishes him inside the distance, right? I'm fully aware of that shit. But this is simply a numbers play for me. So, you know, a lot of people everybody has Dawson in their parlays, right? That's first of all. People are treating Dawson like a free fucking square this week. Like, oh, I'm gonna anchor all of my fucking parlays with Dawson. And do what do what you want, right? All of those parlays may cash because Grant Dawson might come out here and look like a minus 500 favorite and shut me the fuck up, which I know is possible, but I don't really think so. So a lot of people are targeting the sub as well. Bobby Green hasn't been subbed in 15 years, folks. 15 fucking years. So I know people were pivoting towards the KO, which I like more than the sub because I think when you're in dominant positions, obviously you can KO just as easy as you can sub a guy. And Bobby's a dog. I mean, if there's one thing Bobby is, despite his age, despite how many years he's been in the game, is that he is an absolute fucking dog. He has grit. He doesn't quit. He's gonna fight for my money. And what more can you ask for from a plus 350 350 dog, Weezy? What more can you ask for? So, um, you know, I've seen things from Grant Dawson that I can't forget. Right? People just want to act like They didn't fucking happen, right, Weezy? And that's what kind of confuses me. The Marco Madsen fight, right? Marco Madsen, an Olympic silver medalist, I think it is,
Yeah.
Olympic silver medalist, um, cracks the fuck out of Dawson the first 15 seconds of that fight, drops him first 15 seconds of that fight. Now, granted, Grant Dawson recovers, gets a leg, creates a scramble position, survives. But I think Marco Madsen made so many mistakes in that fight. Obviously, Marco Madsen's striking is piss fucking poor, right? He made so many. He does not manage distance well at all. He was kind of crashing in the distance, which is exactly what a guy like Grant Dawson wants. The leg is just right there for the low single.
Yeah.
And even the finishing sequence, right? Dawson just kind of was absolutely chewing the fuck out of his leg. Hits him with one final calf kick, completely sweeps his leg from under him.
Hmm.
Marco Madsen just kind of crumbles, and then Dawson hops on the back and chokes him the fuck out. So, the Ismagulov fight, I think that's a good win, even though I don't fully think that Ismagulov has looked the same since his health. I think it was health issues. It was
It
either
was.
injury issues or health issues. Yeah, right. Health
Yeah.
issues, right, Weezy?
Yeah, I forget which, and he
Yeah,
wasn't clear about it ever, but he did
yeah,
retire before
yeah,
coming back for the Dawson fight. He retired, thanked
yeah.
everybody, and then like a month later came back. It's like, oh, I just realized I have one more fight on your contract. It's like, dude, you
Yeah,
knew that when you retired, man.
exactly.
Like, so yeah, he must have gotten like the go ahead to say, yeah, you can fight. You might not
Yeah.
win, but you'll collect a paycheck.
Yeah, and that's exactly what I'm talking about, right? I don't think he really looked fully the same, although I don't want to take away from that win. I still think that's a very impressive win. So I'm not trying to shit on the win. And then the Ricky Glenn fight, right? At the end of that fight, right, the end of round three, Weezy, I don't know if you remember that. Probably do
Yeah,
because you taped it. Um, Dawson was fighting for his motherfucking life at the end of round three. He
yeah.
was fucking like gargling, like foaming at them, like foaming at the fucking mouth right at the end of round three.
Hmm.
And and Ricky Glenn, after the ref kind of pulled him off him, Ricky Glenn was like pointing at him, like, yo, you need to check
Yeah,
him.
like
Like,
he's
he's
got to
out.
get up.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he's out. And
yeah.
Dawson was not getting up. He was falling all over the fucking place. So, in my mind, what, 3, 4, 5 more seconds, and he's out fucking cold. And
Actually, I
game.
can confirm that because I listened to Grant Dawson. He did an interview with Technical Tim on his channel like some months back, and then Tim
Mhm.
posted it on Twitter. It's like, check this out. Grant actually said there's another
Yeah,
5 minutes in that fight or 5 seconds in that fight, and I'm done.
yeah,
I lose. I get choked out. He said that.
yeah,
That was
yeah.
from his mouth. So
And
I'm
shout out,
promising you,
yeah,
Rick Glenn was this close, man, at the end of that fight.
and shout out to Dawson for saying that because a lot of fighters would have been like, "Nah, I
Yeah.
was there." I was, so
Yep.
shout out credit to him for saying that.
Yeah.
But yeah, he was in another fucking planet. He was thinking about his alter ego multi-universal dimensional being, about to be choked the fuck out in that fight. So, you know, listen, it is super impressive to compile a 21-1 record, 8-0-1 in the UFC. Very fucking impressive, right? I do not want to take anything away from that. Bobby has still fought on the better level of competition. I think Bobby has the tools to make this a competitive fight. Um, you know, it's a smaller cage, which I don't love, right? Bobby can't do as much running, but I trust Bobby to defend at least some of the takedowns and make this a fucking fight and make it not just Grant Dawson completely washing them out. So, Bobby starts stuffing those takedowns, in rounds one, rounds two. Now we get into rounds three, rounds
Yeah.
four, rounds five. That's where I love me some Bobby Green. So, Grant Dawson is at ATT, and Weezy, we were talking about it last night. You in the space. I don't know if you heard this part, but they love their Flintstone gummies, right?
They do.
Their enhanced Pepto Bismol. They love that at ATT. So
Hmm.
he's looked a lot better, especially the cardio, right? He's looked a lot better. But now you're in a main event, right? They got some little weird beef going on in the media. It's different, right? Being in a main event, it's a different kind of energy, right? On a main card, it's different. So, I don't think it's completely out of the realm of possibility that we see Grant start to slow down. It should the fight see rounds 3 and rounds 4. So Weezy, I've already talked too much on this fight. I'm taking a shot on Bobby Green. I don't think the implied probability is correct in this spot. I like Grant Dawson maybe minus 175, minus 200, maybe.
Yeah.
I think I like him at that price, but minus 500. I mean, there's no fucking way you're gonna convince me that Grant fucking Dawson should be minus 500. If I asked you anybody watching 2, 3 years ago, would Grant Dawson be -500 against Bobby Green, you would slap the fuck out of me and tell me to go fuck myself. That's what you would do. You would have did that. So yeah, we're at that point now. I'll happily take a shot. Of course, I'm expecting to be wrong
Yeah,
more than I'm right on this fight, but it doesn't take much, right? Reezy, you were just talking about that. It takes what, 2, 3 times for me to be right to make profit.
that's
So
right.
I'll take that chance. I'll trust Bobby Green. I'm a huge Bobby Green fan. He's a smart guy too. Bobby ain't no fucking dumbass. He knows what he has to do. He
Mhm.
knows what Grant Dawson's gonna do or wants to do, and hopefully he comes out and he's good enough to at least make this a fight. That's all I want, right? If we go to decision and Grant wins, 48-47, I'm happy with the shot. So, Weezy, what do you think about this fight? Main event of the evening. Finish us off for this great card we got going on tonight.
Yeah, the last leg of my greasy four-legger, because I always like to give a very fat leg that people can hedge out on the end, So if we've hit those first three legs, if you have Grant Dawson's money line at -455 as your fourth leg, you can bail out on the green money
Hmm.
line at +350 and guarantee yourself a fat profit. So I'm
Yep.
picking Dawson to win this fight. I did put him as the fourth leg of my greasy four-legger, but you know me, man. I don't like laying juice, and I don't bet -455 favorites. I don't track those bets.
Yep.
I totally get the rationale for the Bobby Green bet. I mean, every fight starts on the feet, every round starts on the feet, and Bobby Green's the much better striker here, and that's not even a point of contention here. If you look at these guys, striking metrics, it's going to be Bobby Green all day. He's faster. He lands hard. I mean, he doesn't have a ton of knockdowns or knockouts in the UFC, but he does have very fast hands, and he swings from weird angles, so he can catch you with stuff that you don't necessarily see coming. And we've seen Dawson dropped. We've seen him dropped a couple of times at the UFC level. So, in particular, in that Madsen fight, Madsen wasn't even credited with a knockdown there, but yeah, I think he got a
What?
knockdown. Yeah, I
Oh
know,
my
I know.
god.
Like Grant Dawson's listed as never being knocked down,
Mm,
when I look at my stats. But yeah, sometimes they don't, like the knockdowns don't get credited correctly. So yeah, man, I could see Bobby Green stopping a couple of takedowns and making this a fight that Grant Dawson wasn't ready to win, but I think Dawson's gonna win. I'm very impressed with Dawson. Love his ability to get to the back and stay there. And then he finishes fights, dude. The guy's got 17 finishes and 20 wins. So I think Dawson is on his way up. I think he's going to be potentially a top 5 guy in this division. And I think Bobby Green is definitely a guy that he's probably going to beat here. But it's always about the number. It's always about the number. It's not like I don't think Piper's going to beat Abdul Razak Al Hassan,
yep.
but when they're telling you that the one guy's a -450 favorite, and you're like, this guy Abdul, all he has to do is touch you once at +350, you take the shot, and you just say here with Dawson, hey, what happens if he doesn't get takedowns? What happens if this gets to the third round and he looks like he did in the Ricky Glenn fight and isn't able to get the fight to the ground, and he knows he's won the first 2 rounds and he's maybe fighting a little more defensive than usual, just trying to run out the clock. Yeah, you could see Green stop a couple takedowns, land a couple big shots, really turn the momentum of the fight, and then anything can happen. So, yeah, I don't usually, condone parlaying -450 favorites, but if it's the last leg of a 4-leg parlay and your first 3 legs are like -140, -130, that kind of stuff, then
Yep.
it makes sense because it leaves you an out for that last leg, and it leaves you an opportunity to hedge out and guarantee a profit. That's what I did here. The pick is Dawson. I think he finishes Green, but I get where you're coming from with that big fat plus money bet.
Yeah, 100%. And that's kind of what it is for me, right? Grant Dawson is as one dimensional as it gets, right? On the feet, it's no competition. And you put a one dimensional fighter in front of Bobby Green. I think Bobby Green can have enough success. So that's what it boils down to. But yeah, I mean the UFC, no doubt about it. The UFC wants Grant Dawson to win.
Yeah.
They put him in this headliner spot for a reason. Listen, kid, get a big name on your record. Keep doing what you're doing. Push it to 9-0-1 in the UFC, and then keep rising. So, um, but yeah, this is a pretty good opportunity for Bobby Green too, fighting the number 10 guy in the world. I
Yeah.
mean, pretty good opportunity for Bobby too. So we'll see. I'm hoping Bobby shocks the motherfucking world. I'm gonna say round 4 KO for Bobby. That's what I'm gonna say. I'm gonna bet it too now that I said that because I have to, right? I can't look like a fucking asshole not having a ticket for that if it hits. So, um, Yeah, that pretty much does it for the card. Victor in the chat, shout out you guys, respect for the insight. We appreciate that, brother. That's what we do it for the people. So yeah, we hope you enjoyed it, my brother. Wheezy, last question I have for you. Um, Hottest take of the card, right? Shock the world moment of the card. Holy shit moment of the card. What do you got?
Man, so I picked Abdul Razak Al Hassan to win, but I really do think that Piper's going to get the win. I think if the longest shot pick that I made this week was Felipe Lins to win by decision. I think
Mm.
everybody thinks that if he beats Iwan Kutalaba, a guy who's been finished 8 times in 9 losses, that he's going to definitely finish him. But like, I think that's my take, is that the way I've seen Lins fighting lately is with a lot of process and with a mind towards winning minutes and really staying safe defensively. And if he does that against Iwan, I think he might win a decision here. And like that would be like a plus 600, plus 700 ticket. So that would be my hot take for the week.
Yeah, I like it, my brother. Obviously, my holy shit, spot of the week has to be Bobby Green.
Bobby
Obviously,
Green, yeah.
I've seen one person that I respect on Bobby Green, and that's Dan from Best Pick Fights. Shout out to him.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's the only person I've seen on Bobby. And confidently on Bobby too. So, shout out to Dan. Hopefully Bobby comes through for us. I'm not even gonna talk no shit either, Weezy. I'm gonna just stay quiet, right? I'm gonna wait for the ticket to go green, and I'm not gonna say shit about it. We're gonna move on to the next week, and yeah, hopefully that's what happens. So, yeah, we are pretty much done, Weezy. I'm gonna wrap it up. Weezy, like I said, right? I've been a fan of yours for a minute. I've consumed your content way before we've ever talked in the DMs or anything like that. So I was a fan of you and Brady's before anything. So it was an honor to have you on the show. There is a million things you can be doing on a Saturday, and you took time out of your dates for me, for our audience, for the Go Boys Network, to probably talk about your picks and insight for like the eighth time this week. So we really appreciate that. I can't tell you enough how much I appreciate it. I want to be doing this podcast for a long time. So hopefully that means that you are a legend of this podcast, one of the first guests that we've had, our second ever guest. So that may be your crowning accomplishment of your career too. Who knows? Who knows? Right? We start winning
Yeah.
Emmys and shit like that. Whatever it is, and Weezy becomes a legend of the other podcast. So Weezy, I can't say it enough. I 100% appreciate you for being here. I think the people appreciate it too. Dub tape in the chat, good shit, Wheezy. W's in the chat, for Wheezy. So, yeah, just very, very, extremely grateful for you, Weezy, for the work that you put in, not only for this show, but on the weekly, right? Putting out free content for the people. It is not easy capping UFC. It is a son of a bitch, like you said, 20-25 hours of straight tape. Same thing I do on a weekly basis. It is definitely a grind. And now we are back to almost every fucking week for the near future. So Wheezy, I'll say it again. This is like the fifth time I've said it. I really appreciate you taking the time. Wheezy, if there's anything you want to plug, I know you got a Patreon. Shout out to your YouTube channel, your Twitter. If you're not following MMA Wheezy, that is his Twitter handle right below him. Please give him a follow. I mean, it is the freest and most best decision that you can make. Get some free insight. Puts out free content every week for the people. Wheezy, plug what you want to plug. Tell the people where they can find you and where they can support you, more importantly.
Yeah, on Twitter, MMA Wheezy, right down there. On YouTube, Uncle Wheezy. Check out that channel. Go subscribe to it. I'm doing content every week, full card breakdowns. I'm doing shows where you can just ask me questions in the chat live, and I'll give you access to all the stats that are available on my Patreon. And I want to plug the Patreon because if you're the type of gambler that does your own research, instead of just paying for somebody else's picks, you can sign up for my Patreon and get a bunch of metrics and statistics. I do matchup stats for every single fight. I not only tell you everything about the tail of the tape, the experience pro in UFC, all the finish stats, all the distance striking stats, all the clinch and ground striking stats, significant striking stats, offensive and defensive grappling, control time, offense and defense, strength of schedule, all the individual stats for each fight. It gives you all the information in one place so that you can make better decisions. So patreon.com/Uncle Wheezy, 5, 10, and $20 a month packages that give you access to different levels of not just the analytics and statistics and benchmarks that I've created here over the last year and a half, but also to my picks. And we share our picks in the Discord. We've got a Discord. We do prize picks. We do underdog. Everybody shares their track bets in there. I give you my track bets as soon as I put money on them. And a lot of times I'm out there beating line movement early in the week because I have all these analytics and statistics at my fingertips. So check out that Patreon, patreon.com/Uncle Weezy. I thank you for having me on the show. It was a pleasure talking fights with you and your audience today. Let's stack cash tickets like flapjacks for UFC Vegas 80.
Let's fucking do it. I hope you had some fun, Wheezy. Like I said, we appreciate you coming on the show. And we'd love to have you again anytime you have some time. So yeah, that'll do it. That'll do it, guys. One more shout out to the sponsors, Sleeper Picks. If you haven't downloaded Sleeper, use code GoldBoys, get a free deposit bonus up to I think it's like $200. So just free cash there. Make some money if you're not in a legal state. And then Pick a Sports. We've used them the whole show to get the best lines. You have to make sure you shop the best lines. So Uncle Weezy taking a shot on Al Hassan, right? Why would he play plus 300 when there's a plus 350 out there? You know what I'm saying? Doesn't make any sense. It's not fucking smart. So use Pick a Sports. It's completely free. Get the best lines available. And that'll do it for us. So whole card breakdown. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I try to cut it down a little bit. I think we went an hour and a half, something like that. So I try to cut it down a little bit as much as we can. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. Let's make some money this Saturday. It is a great day to make a shit ton of money, like Weezy said. Better day than ever. So sneaky card, a lot of great fights, a lot of betting opportunities. I hope you guys enjoy the fights. Hopefully I see you guys in GoldBoys. Sign up if you haven't already. And that'll do it for us. Shout out to Uncle Weezy. Go follow that man. Shout out to his Patreon. Pay for his Patreon, people. $5, all that information, $10, all of that fucking information. It is just incredible shit that's going on over there. So yes, I'm terrible at ending shit, but I'm gonna end it now. Weezy, shout out to you. Shout out for everybody watching. Like the video. Comment if you have any questions. I'll look at them after the video is over. And yeah, let's make some money tonight. I'm out. Peace.
Let's go.